spiritually beneficial. Attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence. At the same time, the attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, brings one elevation to the spiritual world in association with the Lord. Even every woman can equally herself qualify herself as much as Devavati, and then can also have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as her son. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear as the son of Devavati, can appear as the son of any other woman, provided that woman is qualified. If one gets the Supreme Lord as a son, one can have the benefit of bringing up a nice son in the world, and at the same time get promotion to the spiritual world to become the face-to-face associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a very beautiful shlok in Gita. Mamupetya punarjanma dukhalam mashashvatam napnovanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gatim. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So, after reading the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, we realize that our life is meant for the pleasure of the Lord, and that the Supreme Lord is actually the enjoyer, and we being Prakriti, Krishna being Purusha, he's the Supreme Enjoyer, and we being Prakriti are the enjoyed. So we realize that, I was saying that I recently actually acknowledged what I heard 3-4 years back in a lecture, that Bhagavad Gita is actually a love letter written by Krishna to all of his devotees, and that's a very beautiful point which I've recently realized, because every chapter Krishna is just focusing on different ways on how a person can actually come back to him, whether it's Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or Karma Yoga, whatever it is just focusing on how a jiva can reunite with the Supreme Lord. So everything is done for the pleasure of the Lord. If someone might have inclination towards knowledge, so they should engage in acquiring knowledge related to the in matter relating to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although one of the commentators in Damodar Leela has very wonderfully commented that when Krishna was when Krishna woke up, listening to Yashoda Mai's kirtan and her bangles, so Krishna wakes up, he crawls over from the bed and he goes to the room where Yashoda Mai was. She was churning the butter. So Krishna goes there and he holds the churning rod. Seeing which Yashoda Mai smiles, because she thinks that, okay, my son is smart enough to know that only if he holds the churning rod will the whole process of churning the butter would stop. Because Krishna could have held the sari of Yashoda Mai, could have held the hand of Yashoda Mai, could have held the butter pot, but Krishna, Yashoda Mai got happy. Yashoda Mai was happy that Krishna is realizing and he's maturing to understand that only if he holds the rod, the mood reason for something, will that action stop. So over there, commentator comments that Krishna held the rod because he wanted to tell Yashoda Mai that, oh Maya, why are you unnecessarily trying to churn the Vedic scriptures when you've already attained me? So we heard the butter pot are like the Vedic scriptures, and the rod is the knowledge acquiring senses, and Yashoda Mai is representing the jiva. So Krishna is coming there and he is holding the rod and he's telling Yashoda Mai that why are you trying to unnecessarily churn the Vedas when Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhutani cha bhavishyani mamta vedana kaschana. I'm there with you. I'm already here. What else is there to know from the Vedic scriptures. Because the Vedas talk about it's about vast subjects. They talk about sense gratification. They talk about how a person can live comfortably in their material life, and how a person can earn money, how a person can satisfy other limbs of their body, starting from their genitals, from their abdomen, from their heart, how a person can prepare for having luxurious life in upper planetary systems like Swarga and Brahmaloka. And they also talk about how a person can transcend activities related to the body and related to the sense enjoyment, and how a person can transcend from this fruitive action reaction cycle and go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Vedas are like so the scriptures are like the wish fulfilling trees, and whatever you desire for, depending on whatever conditioning you are in, whatever you desire for, you go to the Vedic scriptures and you. A person studies, even if a person is studying Vedic scriptures, a person studies things which are according to his nature. A lusty man, if he's been asked to read scriptures, he would want to read Kama Shastras. A person, I was listening to this in a lecture that once Prabhupada had written such a good commentary and such a good purport on the beauty of Swarga, of the heavenly planets. And then Prabhupada scraped it because he thought that it's so beautiful, it might attract people to go to Swarga rather than going to Krishna, going to serve Krishna. So, coming back to the point that the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures are like the wish fulfilling trees, and whatever you ask for, the scriptures shall give. But just like how we were discussing about the story of Atmadev, how he asked Lord Shiva that, my Lord, I don't desire anything. Whatever you are inspired to give me, whatever best you think is, please give that. Then if we go and approach Vedic scriptures in this humble mood, the Vedic scriptures give the best fruit it has, which is Nigama Kalpataru Srimad Bhagavatam, and which talks about the glories of the Supreme Lord. Even the compiler of the Vedic scriptures was not satisfied reading, compiling the Vedas. What to speak about the person reading it? Only after profusely glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead and glorifying the beauty of the Lord, and more than that, glorifying the Lord's relationship with the devotees, because Krishna's pastimes start in in the 9th and 10th cantos, but throughout it's all about Lord's reciprocation with his devotees, whether it's Vitrasur, whether it's Bhishma, whether it's Amrish. There's so many examples. So the relationship of the Lord, which actually strives and which actually motivates us to actually look beyond our bodily attachments and get attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Rupa Goswami also, this is like the crest jewel of the Bhakti Samrit Sindhu. He says that Anya Bilashita Shanyam Jnana Karmana Avratam Anukulena Krishna Anushilinam Bhakti Uttama. That Krishna Bhakti is not done for one's own self. It's done for Krishna, and it's favorable to Krishna. So Anya Bilashita Shunya. It does not have any marks of one's own desire. It's all done only to please the Supreme Lord. Anya Bilashita Shunya. There are no other desires involved. Jnana Karma Navritam, and it's void of knowledge. It's void of karma. As in karma, when we talk about karma, it's not about the karma yoga Krishna is explaining. It's about engaging in performing actions blindly. Karma anavritam anukulena. It's supposed to be favorable to Krishna, to the service of the Lord Krishna. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. So that's how, if someone's approaching the Vedic scriptures in this humble mood, then the chapter of Gyan Yoga makes sense to that personality, because he's wanting to know and acquire knowledge in the matter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then there's Karma Yoga, where Krishna is talking about how a person can come back to him and can serve him through his actions. Because we see that in this world it's almost next to impossible to do nothing. Even if you are sitting down and practically not doing anything, there are billions of thoughts coming in our mind. So that shows that a jiva cannot live without performing action. And especially in India, a lot of people say that karm kar phal ki chinta mat kar, which means just to work, don't think about the actions. And they've invented their own their own concoctions on what karma is about, is talking, what Krishna is talking about in the Karma Yoga chapter. But it's actually, and they say that just do your duty nicely, and all sorts of those moral words and everything. They use all of that, but very few people actually talk about what Krishna talks about in Karma Yoga. So they say that just do your work faithfully, honestly in this world, and that's what Krishna is telling you to do. But actually a lot of people are doing that, but are they getting elevated to Krishna consciousness, or are they getting detachment from their materialistic conditioning, or are they getting rid of their desires which are not Krishna conscious? That's a question which person should ask in any step of their life. Whatever actions we are doing, are they getting us close to the Lord, or are they entangling us more with this material world? Because we see even the path that Prabhupada has introduced, the Bhakti Yoga is something which is mixing Krishna consciousness in all spheres of our life. Whether it's eating, whether it's consuming food, it's not just food. Prabhupada wants us to offer the food to the Lord and then accept the remnants of the Lord. Whether Prabhupada in one of his commentary in purports of Bhagavad Gita was saying that a Krishna conscious person is a person who, when he goes to the mall, when he goes to the shop, he sees something nice, he sees, oh, I can use this in Krishna's service, he gets it home and offers it to Krishna. I've seen devotees, even if they've got any new clothes, they would first go to their altar, they would offer their clothes, their dhoti, whatever clothes they've got, they'll offer it to the Lord, and then they would wear it as remnants. So it's like intertwining and mixing Krishna and getting Krishna in all spheres of one's life. So similarly, when a person is doing karma in this material world, because karma is important, no one can survive without doing actions. Now, when the Bhagavatam class would finish, we all would go to our work, or we go to our house and we'll study, or whatever one does. They are associating with matter through their actions performed by their senses. But Krishna talks about how a person can do the same activity but not get entangled in the cycle of karmic reactions. So to stop that's why Jiva actually comes to this world, because he's yet to perform, or he's yet to reap the reactions of his past karmas, or he's yet to have, or he still has desires to perform karma. So Krishna tells how, in Karma Yoga chapter, how one can put a full stop to this cycle and come back to him. And that is what Karma Yoga is, that whatever we do, yat karoshi, yat jayoshi tadashi, whatever one does, he has to offer it as the fruits have to be offered to the Lord. If someone's studying, they should aim that once I'm done with the studies, whatever I'm studying, I have to offer this as service to the Lord. If someone is going and earning money, they should think that whatever money I've earned, I'll use this in the service of the Lord. Even if you're not directly using that money, even if you're using that money to pay your bills. One should have this mentality that when I'll pay the bills, I won't have to won't have to be worried about the bills, and then in that house I can peacefully sit and chant Hare Krishna. So in whatever a person does, if they are thinking about how this can just just like how the Yamuna waters, when they would touch Krishna's lotus feet, and how Ganga water, then it touches the Lord's lotus feet, and when it comes out it becomes a Charnamrita to the Lord. Similarly, a person should aim that how all their actions should somehow just touch the lotus feet of Krishna and become, from karma they should become karma yoga. Because now what yoga means to connect. Now whatever a person is doing, it's actually helping them to connect to the Supreme Lord. So it's not done for one's own sense gratification. Or even if the senses are being satisfied, it's actually, at the end of the day, it is actually yukta vairagya, because a person is not attached to performing the karmas. A person is not attached to performing is not attached to getting the reactions of it, but he's just doing that karma for the service of the Lord. So that's actually yajna. Then Prabhupada very beautifully writes his purpose to Bhakti Yoga, where it's everything, all actions and all limbs of yoga, all types of yoga are then Bhakti Yoga. One thinks about the Lord, one studies about the Lord. What we are doing is actually Gyan Yoga, but it is Gyan, but we are acquiring Gyan from Srimad Bhagavatam, but we are acquiring knowledge. We're not acquiring knowledge about the Karmakandic aspects of Vedic scriptures, nor are we acquiring knowledge on the matter of how a person can more explicitly enjoy the material world, but it's about how a person can reach the platform of love for the Lord. So this is technically Gyan Yoga, but it's actually Bhakti Yoga, because it's done in the matter of loving God. So from this we can see that how everything, or how the entire Bhagavad Gita is just it's like a long love letter written by Krishna to his to all of us, because he's actually trying. It's like, the husband is in a different country and the wife is in a different country. The husband is sending her the ticket and he's writing notes for her that, when you go to the plane, when you go to the airport, you have to go from this terminal. When you go on this terminal, you'll be interviewed. Say that your husband is living abroad, you're going to meet him, and all of that. So similarly, Krishna is writing a long love letter, and he's also giving you the ticket. That he says that Sarvadharman Pritagya Mam Ekam Shranamrita Amsam Sarvapapebhyo Mokshishyami Mascha. He's confirming that, this is your ticket, it's confirmed. Mascha is, in Sanskrit, it's used to reaffirm something. So Mascha, your ticket is confirmed. And all the 18 chapters are actually all the notes Krishna is writing. So do this and you'll come to me. Do this, you'll come to me. Do this, you'll come to me. So it's a very beautiful love letter. If someone reads Bhagavad Gita in that mood, it's that's what has helped me. That a person tends to grab the most if a person is reading in that matter. And to perform this, gender is not actually a barrier. Some people in different religions, we see that women are often condemned and women are often put in an inferior position, that they can't do this or they can't do this. In fact, one aspect of Buddhism I was hearing, that they were saying that liberation can only be granted to men. So even if women are performing, even if women are practicing, they have to reincarnate as men in their next life and then perform actions again and then attain liberation, which is not much welcomed in the Vaishnava ideology of grahastha life or of spirituality. It's because we've got so many amazing and exemplary devotees of the Lord who were in a body of a woman and have still attained something which all of us are aspiring for. We've got examples of Janma Mata. Although she's Nityanand Prabhu's Shakti, she's not Jiva Tattva, but still we've got exemplary examples of women who've actually engaged in bhakti and perfected their life. Perfected their lives, like Ganga Mata Goswamini. So I'd just like to talk more about some exemplary devotees in our Kaudiya line, and so Ganga Mata Goswamini, we'll talk about her. So she was she appeared in Bangladesh, and so she appeared in Bangladesh in a royal family, and she wanted to. Her parents always would want. Her parents naturally had this anxiety about her marriage, so they wanted to get her married to a nice devotee. And it was a Vaishnava family. They wanted her to get married to a nice devotee, but every time their parents would come to her and talk, wanting to speak to her about her marriage, she would say that I'm not inclined towards marriage, at least right now. And that's how after certain years the parents left their bodies, and Ganga Mata Goswamini became, at that time she was named Shachi. So the same as the mother of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sachi became the queen, and she ruled that province very nicely. But then after a couple of years, she really developed the desire to go to Jagannath Puri, and she gave the kingdom to the relatives and said that I'm going to Jagannath Puri, and I'm going to neighboring provinces to establish good relationships with the kings and with the rulers in those provinces, and I'll be back. And saying that, she leaves and she goes to Jagannath Puri, where Jagannath asks her to go to Vrindavan. And she goes to Vrindavan and she meets this exemplary devotee, Haridas Pandit. So Haridas Pandit was, Gadadhar Pandit had a disciple, Anantacharya, and Anantacharya's disciple was Haridas Pandit. So she meets Haridas Pandit, who was an ocean of good qualities. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Sushila Sahishnu Shanta Vadanya Gambhir Madhurya Vachan Madhur Shrishta Mahandhir Sabar Saman Kar Korina Sabahit Kautilya Madharya Hinsa Najane Kachit. So, and these actually talk about the qualities of Haridas Pandit. So he was Sushil, he was Sahishnu, he was Shant, he was calm, he was magnanimous, Vadanya, he was Gambhir, he was grave, and he had Madhur Vachan, Madhur Cheshtha Mahadhi. He had his Vani would be ornamented by beautiful words, and his actions were done to in the service of the Lord in a pure consciousness. So, and what qualities he did not have? Sabar Samman Karta Koran Sabahit Kautilya Madharya Hinsa Na Jane Karchit. So, cunningness, duplicity, and violence was something which were not known to his personality. And giving all respects to others and desiring none in return, Sabar Saman Karta Koran Sabahit. And thinking about how his actions or how he could benefit the other living entities were some qualities he possessed. So he Ganga Shachi Jagannath Lord Jagannath comes in her dream and asks her to go to Vrindavan. And when she goes to Vrindavan, she meets this exalted personality and gets initiated by him and starts her spiritual activities. So daily she would hear Srimad Bhagavatam, see Govinda's or Govind Devji, Rupa Goswami's deities, Govind Devji's Aarti, Shyam Sundar's Leela Sthali. She would go to different places in Vraj, she would hear pastimes, she would engage in kirtan, and that's the instruction which Haridas Pandit gave. He said that I want you to lose all inhibition and all sense of shyness and just get madly and just drown in Vraj Prem, in madly and dance and sing and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead madly. So she would go to Vamshi Wat, she would go to Seva Kunj, Nidhi, Van, Rasthali, receiving encouragement from Haridas Pandit. Shachi Devi completely dropped her false ego, put on rags and went house to house in Vraj begging alms. Shedding her false ego, this is a very important point. Being from such an aristocratic family she's now using her, she donated all her ornaments and all her luxurious clothes and wore mere rags, and she's using the veil of her sari to beg alms door to door in the land of Vrindavan. So the Vrajavasis were astonished by her sincere renunciation. Taking her guru's suggestion, she went to Radha Kund to associate with Sri Lakshmi Priya Devi Dasi, a very dear disciple of Haridas. So she would associate with her god sister. On her guru's order, Shachi Devi went to the home of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya in Jagannath Puri. So that's how she would live her life in Vrindavan. And then in the other half of her life, she would, because she was concerned about these deities in the house of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, and she would go to this and taking permission from her spiritual master, she goes to back to Jagannath Puri, and in the house of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya in Puri, with utmost love for Lord Gauranga and his eternal servants, she would serve the deities over there. Sachi Devi restored Sarvabhauma's house and established first-class worship for Sri Shyam Rai, a deity given to her by a Jaipur Brahmin. Every day she lectured on Srimad Bhagavatam. Her classes became popular, attracting eager listeners from miles around. Many people, including Brahmins and kings, Mukunda Deva the king at that time took initiation from Ganga Mata Goswami. Desiring to bathe in the Ganga that night, so this pastime happened that once she was in Puri and she desired to bathe in, that's how she got this name Ganga Mata Goswami. So Shachi Devi was desiring to bathe in the waters of Ganga, and at that time a river of a water body just gushed through her bhajan kuti and took her to right in front, and she would, with that current took her right to Jagannath Mahaprabhu's temple. And seeing what happened the next day when the pujaris came, and seeing that Ganga Mata Goswami was at the lotus feet of the Lord, and so all of them were perplexed at how she just, in the middle of the night, how can she just open the temple and just get here? And then the Lord says that actually it was me, because I wanted to meet her. It was me who got this, and she had this desire to take a dip in Ganga. So I manifested this river, manifested Ganga river, and flowing in which she came to this temple. So after unlocking the doors the next day, the pujaris was surprised to find her inside the temple. Thinking she was a thief, they immediately put Shachi Devi in jail. Seeing this mistake, Lord Jagannath appeared in a dream to both the pujari and the king. The Lord ordered them to release Shachi Devi and told them what happened, and that's how the king took initiation from Ganga Mata Goswami. And another experience, another thing we have to learn is that during times of trouble and turbulations, we usually think that is the Lord actually paying attention to us, or is he too busy playing his flute? And we start questioning what the plans of the Lord are. What are the plans of the Lord? But we see that although she was put in this jail by the king, the next day when Jagannath, when Lord Jagannath came in the dream of the Pujari and came in the dream of the king, he told them the exemplary qualities of Ganga Mata Goswami and how exemplary she is in her devotion, and that's how the king took initiation from from Ganga Mata Goswami. So even we see this in the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri, how the pastime of Kheer Chor Gopinath happened, that where he wanted to. So in this temple of Gopinath, they would offer keli, this a special type of kheer to the Lord, and Madhavendra Puri, who just discovered the deity of Gopalji, who's currently being worshipped in Nathdwara as Srinathji. So he founded this deity of Srinathji, and he had a grand festival which went on for a year, the installation ceremony of Gopalji, and even after having so much Abhishek and so much Annakut so many Annakut festivals which went on for a year, Gopal came in the dream of Madhavendra Puri and said that I was buried under the rocks of Giriraj, and I'm feeling too hot, and although you bathed me with 1,000 pots of water, I still feel the heat. So Madhavendra Puri, so I want you to go to Jagannath Puri and get Malai and Chandan from there. So Madhavendra Puri, being now being all the more being such a famous personality who has manifested the deity of Gopalji, could have just asked anyone in Vrindavan, or could have asked any of his disciples to go to Jagannath Puri and get Malai and Chandan. But that's his humility and that's his sincerity in serving, in his desires to serve the Lord, that he himself goes, he walks all the way to Jagannath Puri just to get some sandalwood for the service of the Lord. So he goes to Jagannath Puri, and in between this village of Ramuna comes, and this Ramuna, am I right? The village's name is Ramuna, where Gopinath's deity is being worshipped. So this deity of Gopinath, which was actually, it is said that Lord Ram actually carved this deity. In Treta Yuga, Lord Ram was telling Mother Sita about how he will manifest, how he'll incarnate as Krishna in his next in the next yuga, and he tells her that he starts glorifying, he does Krishna Katha with her, and Sita Devi desires this manifests this desire to see that form of the Lord. So Lord Ram with his arrow carves this deity out and shows this deity to Sita, and then later this deity is worshipped as Gopinath. So Madhavendra Puri inculcates this desire, seeing that those 12 pots of kheer being offered to the Lord. He thinks that, oh, if I can just taste it, I'll know the ingredients, and when I go back to Vrindavan, I'll make a similar preparation for my Gopalji. So he did not really wanted to relish it for himself. He wanted to know the ingredients so that he can make a similar kind of preparation when he goes to Vrindavan. So, but realizing that thing was not even offered yet, and realizing being a sannyasi, he desired to have something and enjoy something which was actually bhoga, which was not even offered to the Lord yet. he chastised his mind, and he goes out of the temple and he laments, and he sitting under a tree, he's chanting. Anyway, in the middle of the night, Gopinath comes in the dream of this of his pujari and says, "Oh, I've under my dhoti, I've hidden a pot for my pure devotee Madhavendra Puri. So immediately get up, go find who Madhavendra Puri is, and get this pot of kheer and give this pot of kheer to him." So the pujari wakes up in the middle of the night, he goes, takes a shower, does all his obligations and whatever he's supposed to do, enters the deity room, and he sees right behind the dhoti of the Lord, Krishna has hidden a pot of kheer, and he goes around searching in the town, calls out for Madhavendra Puri, finds Madhavendra Puri, gives him the pot. And the next day, Madhavendra Puri's glories are so famous, and they broadcasted far and wide that for this devotee the Lord had stolen a pot of kheer. And this actually aids Madhavendra Puri. Although Madhavendra Puri, that night itself, he leaves the town because he wanted to avoid the glorifications, because now he knew that everyone will start, revering him and start glorifying him for such a glorious act. And Gopinath, from then on, he got this name Kheer Chor Gopinath. Kheer being the sweet rice, and Chor means thief. So Kheer Chor Gopinath. So although for Madhavendra Puri, this was a turbulation in his spiritual life, because a devotee is so humble that he does not desire, or he does not like himself being glorified. So anyway, when he goes on, when he continues on his path to Jagannath Puri, things get very easy for him, because everyone in all the towns now know that this is the same Madhavendra Puri for whom the Lord had stolen the kheer pot, and this becomes easy for him to actually get through the legalizations, and through helps him transit from one province to another. Goes to Jagannath Puri. The king already knows that he is Madhavendra Puri, the same person for whom Gopinath stole the kheer pot. Gets Chandan. He even gets a written letter by the king that so much Chandan is now has now been issued, and he also gives personal servants to Madhavendra Puri to actually get that. So we see that one event in our life, actually how that helps us in helps us in our spiritual life. Yesterday was His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's Vyas Puja, and in his book The Journey Home, he says that how he was actually on his way to Amarnath, because he wanted to attend this festival. It was not Shivratri festival, it was a Shiva festival for which he was wanting to go to Amarnath, and the train stopped near this province, near this town, and Maharaj just wanted to go for some fresh air, and he went out of the train, and the train went away, leaving Maharaj. And Maharaj was chasing after the train. He even caught the handle, but then somehow the handle just slipped from his hand, and the train continued in its journey. Maharaj, in the middle of the town, totally being a total alien to the place, being a total alien to the country, he was flabbergasted. He was thinking, where have I come? And he saw that the town's name was Mathura, and he sees that a major crowd of devotees, of people are going somewhere, and they come to Maharaj and they say that, "Oh, we're going to this place, why don't you come with us?" So Maharaj said that when he may miss my train, and my next train would not come anytime soon, so I've got a day off. So he goes to Mathura, and they're all going to celebrate Janmashtami. It was the day of Janmashtami, and they were all going to Krishna Janmasthan, Janmabhoomi in Mathura. And in Mathura, Maharaj experiences this, and Maharaj had this photo of Krishna whom he did not even know who Krishna was. So he was once in he was once outside a shop which had different photos of different Hindu deities, and he somehow got attracted to this photo of Krishna with a cow on his around his back, and he's playing the flute. And then Maharaj sees this photo of the Lord, and people tell him that if you want to experience more and know more about Krishna Bhakti, you should go to Vrindavan. And that's how Maharaj goes to Vrindavan, and he loves that place, and he takes a vow that he will never ever leave Vrindavan, and he will never ever wanna go outside Vrindavan. And so we see that though we've got some troubles in our life in our initial stage, those tribulations actually help us and aid us in our Krishna conscious journey. The similar experience happened with Ganga Mata Goswamini over here. So the whole point of having this conversation of Ganga Mata on Ganga Mata Goswamini is that although now we see that Devavati's husband has left, Devavati's son has also left for his now that he's instructed her in this in the matter of spiritual knowledge. Devavati herself is performing bhakti in her ashram. We see that even though women in Krishna consciousness, they've got such a nice opportunity that even though situations are there where they don't have an immediate person to back on, they can very nicely perform their spiritual life, perform bhakti and perfect their spiritual life, and go back home, back to Godhead, just like how any other Prabhu in Krishna consciousness would actually do. So it's almost time. I think we should end here. Any questions, suggestions, or comments? Yes, bro. Please go ahead.
Could you please advise how an aspiring devotee adopt the concepts of a refined forest and adopt the renunciation order? Is that applicable to the Kali or is that because this actually took place in different Yuga related Satyuga? Is that those principles, can one adopt, or should one aspire to adopt those kind of principles? And also, just out of interest, did Kadam Mahamuni take up the stage of Vanaprastha ashram or a sannyasi making that home?
Bro, I think you should inquire about this from a senior devotee who is more well versed in this matter. However, I know that Vanaprastha lifestyle is like the current hot topic in our movement, and even Kanshram Prabhu yesterday, for his glorification of His Holiness Radhanath Swami, he was saying that Maharaj advised his disciples that what Vanaprastha life is, that whatever you're doing in your Grasth phase of life, serving Krishna, it's like a part-time job, and Vanaprastha is doing the same activities. The difference is now you're doing those things full time. So it's not necessary that a person has to actually renounce the place where he's living, all his activities, the work, everything. It's just that mentally a person, that's what I feel, and that's what I understood by the statements of Kanshram Prabhu yesterday, that a person has to get into this mood and get into this mentality that whatever I'm doing, I was doing in my Grasth phase of life. I have to do the same thing with with the double intensity, and do it like how a full-time job would be done, and serve the Lord. That's what I think. And I was here all the lectures and whatever I've read, I don't see any evidence for Karda Muni taking sannyas as in a proper getting initiated as a sannyasi and going around as a Parivrajaka. But I think that because he served the Supreme Lord in the mood of a servant, for him serving Kapila as a father would have been a rasabhas in his mood. He goes to the forest and he's meditating on the Lord, he's preaching about the Lord, and perfecting his life like that. Any other suggestions, comments? So I think we should end here. I hope that answers your question, bro. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Sample devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sample devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai.